Hello. Happy New Year. Hey girl, hey, hey boo, hey, how you doing? It has been a very long time since we have gone live with y'all. And we're back, right? We're back, we're live. I'm Marie Dene, the creator of The Curvy Fashionista, your plus size fashion resource destination. As you are joining in, make sure you let us know who you are, where you're tuning in from. I love to hear and know like where you guys are watching us. And it's so come on in, don't be shy. We're going to be talking about the business of fashion. We're going to be talking a little bit about PR. We're going to be talking and reconnecting with you guys. It's been a while. I think the last time we went live was back in like October. But we are starting off anew. So this year, our Facebook, our Speaking of Curves is only going to be on Thursdays, right? Only on Thursdays at noon. And we have like some really cool guests, different designers, creatives, artists, influencers, business owners. We're going to have them all on Thursdays, and you get to meet with them, talk, get to know more, learn how you can support. And so we've got some people already tuned in. Hello, Angela, Tanya, Keisha, Eris. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. So here's what we're going to do. We have a very special guest today kicking things off. And if you don't know me, I'm Marie. I'm the nerd. I am the business nerd. I'm mostly behind the scenes. I love to talk and to kind of like type and write and organize, but I love the business side of fashion. And so today's guest, we kick off with Miss Emma Medeiros of Medeiros PR. And she's going to be talking to us a little bit about public relations, what it is, what it isn't, how she's pivoted through, she's got clients, they're trying to get some business, and how you guys can support small businesses. This is exactly what Speaking of Curves was created for, showing ways we can support other small businesses, especially through this Rona. Because, Ms. Rona's been acting out, and we've had to learn how to adjust to her. So this is where our Facebook Live series has come from. So what I would like for you to do is to say, hey, girl, hey, and please welcome Miss Emma. Hello, Emma.
Hello, hey, girl, hey.
Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
So for those of you guys who who are watching who don't know you, don't know about, tell everyone what you do.
Yes, so thank you for having me again. Hello, everyone. So as Marie said, I am Emma Medeiros. I am the president of Medeiros Fashion PR, which is the first public relations firm in the U.S. to specialize in the plus-size fashion industry.
You gotta pause there. You gotta run that back so folks know.
Sure.
Because I don't think they caught that you are the first to specialize solely in
the plus-size fashion industry.
Yes. That is impressive.
Thank you.
So keep going. So how long have you done it? Like, let us know some of your clients.
Sure. So I started, I graduated from Emerson College in Boston in 2012. And I knew I wanted to do PR. I have a degree in marketing. And underneath the marketing degree, you can do public relations, you can do advertising. There's a whole bunch you can do with it. And I knew I wanted to do PR because public relations is based on merit instead of money. So what I mean by that is that
we'll break that down. We'll break that down because
you want me to wait on that? Okay,
yeah,
sure.
We're gonna break
Absolutely.
That down.
All right, so put that on hold.
Yeah.
So I started Medeiros Fashion PR. Yep, absolutely. So we'll do that later. So I started Medeiros Fashion PR in 2015 when I realized, I still can't get over this, that there was not a single PR firm specializing in the plus size fashion industry.
Right.
And the industry, as we all know, and we are excited about, has been exploding for the last, 10 years maybe. So I really decided before I wanted to have my own firm, originally I wanted to work for someone else, make my mistakes on their watch, that sort of thing. Why not? So I started looking around for different firms to work for, and I looked a long time. I'm talking like 2-3 months. And I found 1.5 million fashion PR firms. They're usually called lifestyle PR firms, but there was not a single one that specialized in plus size. So I was like, well, we can't have that, obviously. So I launched it in 2015. So the benefit of that for our clients is that you guys know that every single one of my connections are beneficial to you. I'm not going to waste a single minute of my time or dime of your money reaching out to someone who's not interested in plus size.
So I'm going to stop you right there.
Yeah, I'm done.
No worries. because I want to make sure like we kind of have this conversation, because as people are coming in, I want to make sure, like, you know, as they're understanding like what PR is. If you're just joining, I'm Marie Danae. I'm the creator of the Curvy Fashionista. And today we have our first guest of the new year, Miss Emma Medeiros of Medeiros Fashion PR. And she's talking with us about, you know, her business. And so we're going to talk about Rona. We're going to talk about the start of coronavirus hitting us, everyone going into quarantine. You're having to pivot. For you as a publicist, especially as like a, you know, you're self-employed, you have your own business. How did you have to pivot? And how have you like managed, like, as we've been in this prolonged foreverness?
Oh my goodness, seriously, any day now could end. So it's really about getting creative. You know, knowing what other skills you have. I've done a lot more writing because unfortunately I did lose a few of my clients because, of course, they lost their jobs. You know, it's a trickle effect. So we had to put their contracts on hold. Thankfully, they are starting to come back. Several have started to come back, and I have some new clients starting. So yay. But during the worst time, I did a lot more writing. I did a lot more studying as well. I was like, well, I have time now. You know, let me take some webinars, let me take some courses online. I learned so much. And a lot of people don't realize how many free resources out there are. You know, this is not something you have to spend money on. Like Google free courses in whatever. And it's amazing how many come up. So that's definitely one way that I pivoted. And another way, and I think this should continue even after the pandemic eases, is talking to your quote unquote competition. In other words, like other publicists and other whatever that you do. Seriously, a lot of people are afraid to do that. They're afraid to like either give up their secrets or ask someone for their secrets. But it's not about that. It's like, how can we help each other? It's really, I mean, that's something that's really,
That's a mindset thing.
Oh, totally. Yeah. I mean, you have to be okay with asking for I mean, it's important to build a relationship with someone, obviously, before you ask them for help. And also, of course, offer them something like, hey, if you can help me with X, I can help you with Y. You know, get creative. Like, what can you give? What do you need? And ask each other for help. Everybody is going through the same thing we are. Everybody.
What have you noticed, or have you shared, what kind of advice have you shared with your clients with ways that they can kind of navigate the pivot?
So depending on what they do, for example, models, you know, by Plus Models. So we represent models, designers, retailers. So of course it depends on what they do. So models, they say, oh, well, you know, I can't model. There are no photo shoots going on. I say, okay, well, now is a great time to build your social media presence. You know, it's really important. There's always something you can do to build your business. Always, no matter what you do.
And so for like, if you're a designer, like, because I know she said, so I'm gonna have you share some tips so that people know like kind of like where you come from and your like kind of your mindset behind things. So when it comes to that pivot for models and, you know, personalities, you're saying dig in, hone in on your social media presence, nurture, develop, and grow that. For designers, what advice would you give to these designers as they're pivoting?
Well, first of all, know your audience. You know your audience, I think, should be, no matter what business you have, understanding your audience, but designers especially. So asking your potential clients, what are you wearing right now? What is your, you know, everybody's home. They want to be comfortable, but they also want to be stylish. You know, everyone's kind of sick of sweats and everything. So understanding what your clients want, and also doing more like virtual pop-up shops, but making it creative, making it fun. For example, one of our clients is Envious Boutique, and we're doing, coming up in February, a fashion and fur babies virtual pop-up shop. So we're collaborating. Yep, it's going to be a lot of fun. Everyone knows I'm the crazy cat lady. So it's going to be a lot of fun. We're collaborating with different cat rescue societies. So we're going to be doing an adoption event as well as a virtual pop-up shop. So doing something fun like that, you know, to make it creative.
It's like the innovation, right?
Yes.
Like, are limited.
The creative juice is flowing.
Exactly. That's when the creativity comes out, when your resources are limited. You have
to be creative.
Right. You start figuring out what you can and cannot do, what you should and should not do. And what you can, what
All
you've
the
been
rules
sleeping
go out the
on.
window. The rules literally go out the window.
Right. You've been missing out, like how you can like really take your business to that next level. So now you have like your models, you've got your designers. What other type of clients do you work with, and what advice have you given them?
So models, designers, retailers, event planners. I've done PR for
An
national.
event planner. Let's talk about these events. An event planner.
Yes. Oh my gosh. I think that's probably they probably have had to pivot the most is event planners. Like, of course, Gwen DeVoe, everyone knows her. Full Figured Fashion Week in 2020 was completely virtual. I was actually on a panel. I was very glad to be on the panel. But she did a virtual, but she did a workshop beforehand that I was found extremely helpful about pivoting, to virtual, getting away from technical difficulties, pre-recording as much as you can. It's just really, really helpful. So, I mean, as far as event planners, you can still have events. Absolutely. I mean, you will usually have fewer people. It's important to understand that, have realistic expectations, but you can still do events. Absolutely. And again, get creative with it. Don't just have your regular, like you would models walking down the runway, have some giveaways, have some raffles, have some other brands coming in, and, really get creative to make it different, because people get bored during virtual events a lot quicker than they would during, live events.
Capture my attention.
Exactly. You have to really be engaged. Like, engagement would probably be the most important thing.
So if you guys are just joining us, hello, Hayes. Hello, Sophisticated Curves, Lynette, Shamara, and Kimberly. I'm Marie Dene. I'm the creator of The Curvy Fashionista. Just to kind of level set, I'm here. We're here at Speaking of Curves. It's our every Thursday we do a Facebook Live, or we stream live on other platforms. So if you're on Twitter, hey boo. And if you're on my page or on my group, hey boos. But we go live and we're talking with different business owners, different influencers, creatives, all around the business side of fashion, of plus size fashion specifically, and also being able to showcase different ways that we can support y'all, the small business owners, or them who are featured, so that we can kind of help nurture this ecosystem through the pandemic, through this panic, right? And so we have a different guest on every Thursday. Miss Emma, she's giving us tips so that she shared with her clients, as she is a publicist who runs Medeiros Fashion PR, and she's sharing with us like kind of how to navigate through. A lot of us thought this was going to be just a temporary thing, but we're realizing we've had to make some shifts that are longer than just like, a couple of months, right? And so, Emma, you noticed that, you said you lost some clients, so you started doing, you spent this time personally doing more research, doing more writing, like really honing in on your craft. And I wanted to stay here just for a second because, this if anything Rona gave us was time.
Yes, exactly.
If anything, we got time.
Nothing else. We got time. There's no excuse. I don't have time to do this. Yes, you do now.
And so, one of the things that I stress to a lot of folks is really learning how to give ourselves grace through this time, because we can immediately fall into this spiral of survival and operating out of a space of survival, or, like if we give ourselves grace, like we can just be. Like, how did you deal with your mental? How did you deal with your mind?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I'm very grateful to my husband, I have to say. I mean, I have a wonderful husband, Adam, who is just, my rock. He really is. I mean, I really pray a lot for people who are alone during this time, who live alone, who don't have fur babies, or that connection. The connection is really, really crucial. Calling loved ones, hearing their voices, if not seeing them in person, that's, so important, business or no business. I would say having a schedule definitely helps, kind of keeping to that schedule. Basically anything that you can do to help you feel normal, whatever normal means to you. Try to feel as normal as possible.
Recreate it, right? Like create a new normal. recreate a new
Exactly.
normal.
Yeah, recreate whatever normal meant is kind of out the window. So try to create your new normal. You know, it does help to get some physical exercise. I've been running up and down the stairs. My neighbors are kind of used to it by now. They're like, okay, running up and down the stairs in my building, having that schedule, trying to get up at this, you know, at the same time, go to bed at the same time, within reason, obviously, when you can. But really, it does help, and it helps to keep on track, because the worst thing you can do is sit there and do nothing, because you're going to start to obsess about it, start to think the worst, and just nobody wants to go that way.
Right. And so for you, like, you know, being able to lean in creating habit, you know, like kind of new habits, new kind of processes. Now you've started to see, so you're starting to see a shift. You mentioned that you have some of your clients are starting to come back. Now, do you feel like through this Rona, people were kind of like trying to figure out their new normal, and there's kind of a new baseline?
I would say yes. I mean, it's kind of like, okay, here's what my normal is, here's what I can do with it.
Okay. Okay. So then with that being said, like, how do you see, like, especially your clients who've come back, like, have they come back with newness or new kind of a renewed kind of outlook on how they can move their business forward or what they can do? Do you understand what I'm saying?
I think so, yes. Like, do they have different goals? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. Have their goals?
I mean, I think the goal of every business is to be successful. You know, like if you're a model, like one of my clients, Camille Rivers, you know, of course it's important to go forward. But another one of my clients is Sabina Michelle. So not only is she a plus model, she's also a mental health advocate, like a suicide prevention person. So again, she's tapping into other things that she can do besides modeling. You know, so she's doing the same thing that I did. You know, they all are. You know, they really, it's like, okay, besides just being a model, I don't say just, you know, that's, it's a big job being a model, but besides
diversification. It's the diversification. It's tapping into other.
Don't be so focused on being a model that you're afraid to do other things.
Right. It's like the other latent gifts. Like we have latent gifts that we don't focus on because like we're chasing this one thing.
Exactly.
But this Rona has like kind of really allowed for us or forced us to look at the other things around us, right? So let's go back to kind of like, let's kind of pivot a little bit. So when we're talking about PR, we're talking about PR, what it is and what it is not. Because sometimes like people are like, oh, I need a publicist or I need a PR, where you actually need PR, you need a publicist, right? So just from the verbiage, because I know some people get real specific about that. So for you, like, what would you say to the small businesses who are watching, to those who are curious if they need a publicist, like what would you say to them? And especially now in the Rona, like what kind of expectations do you want them to help manage?
Okay, so all right. So let's break down the question. So basically, for those of you who don't know what PR is, public relations. So public relations is all about relationships. Gasp. So it's really about, I am your connection. I am your connection. So say you are a designer, you have a show coming up, you have a new collection coming out, you hire me to reach out to my people in the press, bloggers, journalists, TV people, all of that, to get you more attendance at the show, to get you more interviews at the show, interviews about the show, more sales, of course, ideally, it'll lead to more sales, getting you more well-known, building your reputation, your credibility. That's what PR is. So PR, the reason why it's so powerful and so important is because it's based on merit instead of money. So what I mean by that is when the average person looks at an ad, whether it's on a billboard, in a magazine, whatever, you understand that that is a paid ad. So the implication is whether or not your product or service is any good, if you have the money, you can buy that ad. So that's advertising. A lot of people mix up the two. So how PR works is, yes, you're paying me for my time and my services, but I'm reaching out to people who are not paid to write about you. They're paid to write a story, not about you. So if they do anyway, it means a lot more in the public mind. It's called third-party credibility. It's almost like when you see an ad for a new restaurant in your area, right? You see the ad like, oh, there's a new restaurant in my area. Didn't know that. But when your friend who's not paid by the restaurant says, oh my God, they got the best food and the best service, you're going there the next night. because someone you know then trust is not paid to write about it, is endorsing it anyway. So
Right.
PR is all about building your reputation, your credibility, your long-term success.
And it's interesting because, oftentimes, like, you always hear like when companies go through restructure or like their budgets are like tight, they always chop out the whole marketing space. Like that includes
Yes. Yep.
influencer marketing, advertising. Like there's all these things that go into the marketing arm.
They think it's expendable. Oh my gosh. I'll give you the perfect example. When I was in marketing school, we studied a lot about the Great Depression, right? Of course, during the Great Depression, my God, you would think marketing would be the last thing on your mind. But Procter and Gamble, who make pretty much everything, like beauty products and everything like that. Look up Procter and Gamble. They make Crest, they make, whatever. They actually spent more on PR and marketing during the Great Depression. And they were one of the few, big companies that made it through that time.
We see it now. I mean, think about it. We saw all the ads from Fashion Nova.
Yep.
We saw all these posts. Like they were cranking things out. The brands that were consistent and didn't the pendulum this direction are now the ones who are kind of like have pivoted, have adjusted, and they're moving forward, through this, new normal or whatever, right? So marketing, for y'all who don't know, like I'm a big marketing nerd. That's what I have my MBA in. Like that's what gets me excited. But marketing needs to be kind of formulated into the whole mix of things for y'all.
Yes, if anything, it's more important now because, pandemic or no pandemic, the plus size industry is exploding, right? Which is wonderful. But the flip side of that is that there's now more competition.
Right.
So
no
you
longer
have to put your side apart
on the wall and be like, oh, if I build it, they will come. No,
not so much.
You need to tell us why we need to come.
Exactly.
You need to outreach to us and tell us what's so special and why you started now versus 10 years ago.
Yes, exactly.
You gotta put some work into it, and sometimes that work is a little money.
Yes. Also, it's funny that you said about what makes you special, because one of the main things that I ask people when I'm consulting with them as a potential client is, what do you bring to the table that nobody else does? What makes you special? Because one of my professors, I'll never forget this, in marketing school, he told us a story about when he was looking for a job in his 20s, whatever job it was. So he went into the interview prepared to answer typical interview questions, that we all are. What are your strengths, weaknesses, that sort of thing. But instead, this interviewer, he threw him for a loop. He goes, so what makes you so effing special? And he didn't censor. I'm being nice. So my professor was like, he didn't prepare for that. So the guy goes, okay, thank you very much. You can leave now. Goodbye. So needless to say, that was a little brutal, but it stuck with me because at the end of the day, that is what people want to know. However they phrase it. Most people don't phrase it that way. Why am I hiring you? Why am I buying your clothes? Why am I hiring your services? What makes you so effing special? So, I mean, if there's one piece of advice I can give to anyone, no matter what business you're in, know your point of difference. And be able to back that up, make sure it's true. I did a lot of research before I claimed to be the first PR firm in the US to specialize in the plus size fashion industry.
Right. So, okay. So now we've talked about like the importance I'll touched a little bit upon like the importance of marketing and how it sits under and where PR sits within that. And understanding like your unique selling proposition, i.e. what makes you so effing special. Now, for those who cannot like afford PR right now, because it is an expense, and we do have a lot of indies and small businesses who are building up to, what would you say are some good tips for someone to kind of build, what should they be working towards, or what can they do in the interim to kind of offset as they're growing, to then be able to have like, to have like a U?
Having you. Well, first of all, let me say that we do offer many, many different packages for different budgets, starting at $75 all the way up to $10,000. So don't automatically think, you have to spend thousands of dollars a month on PR. But if you really can't, besides knowing your point of difference right now, I would really make sure to know your audience. Do a lot of research, send out surveys, that sort of thing, on your audience, on your customer base, on your social media followers, really understand almost like intimately who they are. So not only how old are they, where do they live, how much money do they have, but know their what's called psychographics.
Yep, I was just about to say that word.
Right? Which is like how they feel about things, how their political statements, political feelings, how they're religious. Like, even though that doesn't seem to be related to your business, it is important because, you're going to talk to somebody. If you're a business, right? If you're a business and you're setting up an ad campaign that's going to run all over the country, chances are you're going to tweak it a little bit for people in New York versus in the Deep South. People have different views. They have different, beliefs. They have different everything. So if I could say right now, before you're ready for a publicist, know your audience. I mean, I cannot say that often enough. Know your audience, because you don't know how to reach out to them and how to get to them until you know who they are.
That's real. That's we call them avatars, right? Mm-hmm. So, that's like a whole picture. You're painting a picture of who your client is, who they are, what they do, where they live, how they're doing, like what their life is like. And sometimes you give them little names and little personalities. So
we call it a snapshot. Yeah.
Right. When you're creating a whole picture, you're able to have a conversation, and you know who you're talking to and how to talk to them and what to say to them, where to meet them. What platform are they on?
Exactly. Not everyone is on every social media platform. Some people are not on social media at all, especially if you have an older clientele. It's really, I'm going to say it 1,000 times more, know your audience, as much as you possibly can about them. And because trust me, if you do the work and the research now, you will save a ton of time and money and later on.
I just have to say thank you so much, Miss Emma. The gems for the folks in the audience.
Sure.
Tell everyone where they can find you, how they can connect with you if they have questions about if they're ready, and if they are ready, how to find you. Go ahead and drop all your information for us.
Sure. So my website is Medeiros Fashion PR, which is Medeiros Fashion. Hopefully I don't have to spell that. PR.net. Can I put that in the comment section, or can you put that up later?
Well, we'll put it up.
You can click on it. Yep. So even whether or not you are ready for a publicist now, if you just want to learn more, learn more about it, please set up a free consultation. I just want to get to know you. Again, start the relationship. It's all about relationships. So Emma at MedeirosFashionPR.com. If you could, put that up later, Marie, that would be fabulous. And across all social media is Medeiros Fashion PR. Keep it simple. And on the website, you can see our clients. You can see some places we've gotten them in the press. You can see our services, the pricing. Everything is really, really transparent.
Nice. Thank you. Thank you so much. And then, so you're Medeiros Fashion PR on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. Yeah. Okay. All right. You guys, how helpful was that? Thank you so much, Miss.
You're welcome. And again, I really, no matter what part of the industry you're in, no matter what industry you are in, again, knowing your point of difference, knowing what makes you so effing special, is the first step to any successful business.
Definitely. Yeah. I just want to say thank you again to Miss Emma. Thank you guys for rocking with us. We'll be back again next week on Thursday. We'll be interviewing the artist Jean-Quel. She is a sketch. She's I
love her art.
Right? So
I love her.
Illustrator. You recognize her work, especially with some of your favorite retailers, because she has been contracted by them. But we're literally going to be talking with all different types of folks on the business side of Plus Fashion, ways that you can support, ways that you can reach out and engage them and get to know them on a different level, because it's really about how are we able to support and help bring our small businesses through this Rona in the best way possible. Also, if you, just on a sidebar note, we just dropped our Cultivate Awards. It is a scholarship program with Eloquy, created specifically for indie plus size BIPOC designers, created specifically for these indies, and it's a scholarship program where the winner will receive a $10,000 scholarship from Eloquy and year-round mentorship and a capsule collection. We'll have Runners-up will receive cash prizing as well as resources, actionable resources and tools that they can use to kind of help grow and develop and elevate their business and brand. This is one of the things, like Speaking of Curves started it, inspired it, and this is part of an initiative that we started, really important for me to figure out different ways that we can challenge these brands to help challenge them to show us how they can help and activate them so that we can help our indies. Like, because in my mind, they're the innovators, they're the thought leaders in the fashion space, and so it's really important to find ways to kind of give back. And that's one of the first programs we'll have for the community, called the Cultivate Awards, and you will be able to find all that information on our website. So, had to drop that there, just so you guys know.
No, I think that's fantastic.
But yes, so thank you guys again for tuning in. We'll be back next Thursday at 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We will be streaming on all of our different platforms, so make sure you can click the little notification for when we go live. Make sure you follow, like our pages, and until next week, we'll catch you guys then. Bye.
Thank you so much, everyone.
Thank you.